Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Women Who Rock with Success, which is an award-winning show for professional women. We profile a collective of amazing women who are thriving to build their brand. Women are handpicked in various fields who can provide credible information to build your business and lifestyle. We are live each Thursday at 9 a.m. Central Time, followed by our latest brand, Women Who Rock Investigates. To learn more about us, go to our website at www.womenwhorockwithsuccess.com. Now, let's join our podcast host in the studio, Mrs. Diane Winbush.
And good morning, everyone, and thank you for tuning in with us this morning for Women Who Rock with Success. And we are in Women Month, of course, and also we are continuing our Black History Month for women as well. So we're kind of incorporating all of them in there together. They're still coming. And so we are proud and honored to be able to profile these women who have achieved a milestone for business and entrepreneurship. So we're going to get right into this show, and we want to welcome to the show this morning historian Yvonne Mbanefo. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that right. So good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. And yes, you did pronounce it well. Mbanefo.
Okay, great. So first of all, we want you to be able to share a little bit with the audience, a little bit about you, and how did you be able to come into the industry as a historian?
Okay. I have a background in digital media and then cultural heritage. I was also a teacher, a lecturer in a university, but the cultural heritage part came across from interest from when I was a child, and because I spent a lot of time with my grandparents. So that's where the cultural heritage part came up. And then as my children grew up, I was looking for ways to get them to connect with their culture, and that's how, I got more immersed in language and culture.
Okay, great. So let's talk about the Quantio stories. So tell us about that, and what are some of the takeaways from this film? Okay,
the Equinox Stories is the second in a series of 10 films about 10 extraordinary kids who lived in different or unique or extreme moments. And the first, Oladosu Epiano, was a young boy who was born around 1745 in what we now know as Nigeria. And in 1756, when he was around 11, he was kidnapped with his sister from his home. So he went on to be sold into, he was enslaved and managed to buy back his freedom, and then went on to create work that was impactful in abolishing slavery. So this film is unique in that Stella Stories is trying to use the cell phone or phone as a universal language. So what we try to do is to connect people to our characters by the protagonist filming himself. So in this film, Equiano films himself the same way today people film themselves on the cell phone as a selfie. So in essence, this means that a kid who lived 300 years ago and a kid who lives today speak the same language. So that way people understand Equiano.
Okay, great. So how has this message, for we as African Americans, how has this message impacted our culture in regards to this film? How has, because there are a lot of films, a lot of African Americans. We had, I think it was last week, Frances and Solomon, and of course she's from, I think, the UK or Britain or something like that, and so she's a film director as well. And so there are a lot of film directors in the African American culture that are trying to make a difference and to be able to also share with the, with the modern children today, of how, some things were then versus now. So how has these films impacted the culture today?
This film has impacted the culture today in that typical the typical African American origin story usually starts from either the slave ship or the plantations. But with this story, we went back to, based on his memoir, we went back to his village in Africa to showcase the rich culture, the life, and then also show things that young people nowadays can relate to. For example, going on sleepovers with his brothers, or, you know, filming his parents while they were dancing and embarrassing him and showcasing his life. So this film is a kind of bridge, and it changes that mindset that, you know, slavery is the origin story, which is not. So it actually gets people to think beyond that.
Right, absolutely. So, so one of the Hollywood film producers is, I can't think of his name. It's just left me just that quick. He's a little short guy, and it just left me. So, and of course, he has shared much of his impact with the American culture as to helping them to be able to understand that that we can do this as well. Because, of course, you know, back in several centuries ago, 17th, 18th, and even the 19th century, there were more other cultures that were producing, and they were also creating films. So how has this been an impact for you? How has this impacted you? Because, you know, it takes away a lot of, you know, sometimes different cultures have to work just a little bit harder when it comes to success and when it comes to entrepreneurship and when it comes to, you know, achievements and what have you, versus other cultures are able to access different projects a little bit more simpler. So how has this impacted you as a film director?
I think because of the global world we live in now, people are becoming more, you know, curious. People are reaching out to find out more, you know, more about the world around them and history and things. And, you know, interestingly, for example, Wakanda helped a lot in, you know, showcasing, you know, another, you know, type of world. And that has kind of opened up opportunities for people to realize, oh, there are actually stories from, you know, Africa, different places and different perspectives and worldviews on life. So I believe that this is just the beginning. We're just scratching the surface to, you know, find out, you know, what's, you know, how other people think. And then I think that will also help people form bonds, because stories teach. And then with stories, the more diverse stories come up, the more people begin to understand, you know, how other people live, and then also to find the commonalities between everyone.
Absolutely, because I feel that every culture should be able to appreciate who they are, you know, in regards to their tradition, how they maybe have came up, or even so how their forefathers had to perhaps struggle through some things in order to make some things more easier for the, you know, for the tribe as of today. So we want to talk about a little bit quickly about Igbo. And so explain to the audience about Igbo, and how do you use this feature as a storytelling component of your films?
Okay. Igbo people live in southeastern Nigeria, indigenously come from and live in the southeastern part of Nigeria. There are about 40 million Igbo people around the world at the moment. So as you can appreciate, the more people move away from their original place, the more they lose their languages and their culture. So I've tried to use storytelling to teach the language and teach the culture. So, and I try to do that from my YouTube channel, to use little stories to teach people.
Okay, great. So do you feel that that's important for modern-day African Americans in our culture to be able to keep abreast of the history and our forefathers? Is that important to you, and that's the reason why you continue to feature this brand?
Yes, I think it's very important because obviously when people got enslaved, everything was stripped away from them. So now they're beginning to, and the life we live in now, identity is becoming very, very important. So identity is not just where you live, where your experience is, also where you've come from. So I believe that, for not just for people who have moved away, first or second generation Africans, but also African Americans who have done a DNA or decide to adopt a specific place as their home, their home in Africa. So it becomes very important for them to have sources and resources to learn the culture, the language, and, the stories and everything else.
Absolutely. Now, personally, we have some African, they're not descendants, but they were married into our relationship. And, of course, we have a niece that's African from Nigeria, actually. And so her father, when he was living, he had told us a lot of stories, totally different from the way that the tribes interact over here, versus, we don't have guns over there. We roll our sleeves up and then we protect ourselves that way. And so I think it's very, very important for all cultures, especially for the African American, to be able to resonate with that, as to how far, basically we have come. So, and of course, there are statistics out there, and of course, I've read many articles, this is going to be another question. It's going to be a little bit challenging, but hopefully we can get through it together. And so they are predicting that in the year around 2031, that the minorities will be, the majorities will be the African American culture. And to me, I sense that there is a lot of pullback in that area, a lot of restraints in that area where it appears that laws are changing to be able to stifle African Americans, especially in behind the prison bars. It seems like the laws are tightening up a little bit stronger in order to be able to restrain that statistic from even developing and coming actually into fruition. So talk to us a little bit about that. How movie directors, film directors, and such as yourself, to be able to come and continue to be able to enforce, storytelling, to be able to help the African American, because sometimes the African American community, sometimes we forget. I'm serious. I'm just going to be honest with you. Sometimes we can be able to forget. It takes individuals like you, Frances Ann Solomon, who is not of the United States, but she's still of the African American culture, but she's of a different, language and what have you. But it's going to take you all to be able to come in and continue to shine the spotlight, to be able to help individuals of our culture to be able to understand and where we supposed to be, because we have all types of different individuals that cohabit with one another in relationships and marriages, and they're African American, some are Caucasian, and what have you. But at the same time, we need to understand continually our heritage, where we come from, and how our forefathers actually have worked very, very hard. They have done some very, very things that were not appropriate in order for them to be able to keep their lives. I'm just being honest. I'm going to get down to the nitty-gritty with it. So talk to us a little bit about that, as to how we can be able to maintain that, where some societies are trying to revoke or trying to make it as a challenge due to the fact that our African-American culture will be the dominant role in the 2031 ages.
I think, for example, what we're doing at Stella Stories is kind of leading into what I think everyone will start doing, which is one, we have a team of creators that made this film, with the directing and writing team coming from Stella Stories, and then, collaborating with the Sabo Museum of African American History in Chicago. So, pulling together and bringing out our different strengths. It is quite key, because if we stand alone, we can't do this. It would just be, little individual work that doesn't quite make a mark. So when people pull together and bring their strengths together, then, we can now create major work that stands out, and then, that can compete on the world stage as well. So, like, for example, in the Equinox Stories film, it's on both Instagram and TikTok. And in 1 week in we've got 100 million views across both platforms, and this includes the viewers include both from people from all walks of life, from all races and all backgrounds. And the kind of comments we get from people, I didn't know this existed. I knew about slavery, but I didn't know that people suffered quite so much. So I think the more people pull together and realize, that these stories need to be told. And also in the world we live in now, you see books being banned that shouldn't be banned. Yeah. And then so that also makes people start getting creative and start saying, hang on, which other way can we get the information out so that it doesn't get banned? Yes.
Absolutely, absolutely. Go ahead. I'm sorry. You can finish.
So I'm just saying that I believe that the work we do at Stella Stories is a kind of springboard that will give people ideas on, what to do and, kind of bring out the creativity in everyone to start telling their individual stories. And as technology comes up, and social media platforms, become mainstream and, accessible to everyone, then it's easy for all this kind of storytelling and, mind-changing and paradigm-shifting works to come out.
Absolutely, because you are absolutely correct in regards to the book banning. I saw something on, I think it was ABC News tonight, NBC News tonight, nightly news, where they are trying to ban the books in school. And, of course, I've heard stories when I was growing up as a child back in the 60s in regards to that, as to our parents receiving the books, and they were kind of worn, and, the backs were kind of bent off of them because they were not allowed to read the books when they perhaps were younger. They had to wait until they got probably like 12 or 13 in order for them to be able to have access to the books. So by the time they had received the books, the books were already out of just about repair. And that's another thing that they're discussing also with the Bibles, trying to do away with them as well. And so it is good and very refreshing that social media can be able to also continue to trend stories such as films and videos, what filmmakers are making. But I'm pretty sure that they're not going to try to wash that away. But it is kind of, I guess, sad, I want to say, in order for the lawmakers to get that far as to wanting to ban books. I mean, I know everything is trying to go digital, but, they're also predicting that it's a blackout, too. So, that needs to be taken into consideration also. So with the last question, what would you like to be able to leave as an impact with the audience in regards to the storytelling that you have to offer?
In regards to the storytelling we have to offer, I would like to tell the audience that education doesn't just happen within the four walls of a classroom. It happens to the people with the people we talk to. It happens to the media we consume, and like what Stella has done, put a feature film on social media, which is where the youth usually converge now. And what we've also done is put social lessons, which are a kind of curriculum about culture and history, to give context to the film. So the thought that learning has to do in a classroom, it doesn't have to happen anymore. So we can learn with everything, and that's why it's really important for anyone that can to watch this film and then learn from it and then understand, where African Americans have come from, and to also show, for them to also realize that the things that happened during enslavement are having a direct impact on the lives of African Americans and people of color today.
Absolutely, absolutely. And this topic and the information that you have certainly shared can also, jive with both of them, with the Black History Month and the Women's Month as well. So we thank you so much. We would love for you to be able to share. We don't want you to go until you share, where the audience can be able to find you, network with you, follow up with you, any books that you have published, where your website is, and if you want to be able for them to be able to follow you on social media platforms, you can be able to do that at this time.
Okay, before I talk about my own personal website, I'll just give the social media handles for watching the Equiano film. And it's on Instagram, it's at equiano.stories, EQUIANO.stories. And that's for Instagram and for TikTok as well. And for my own personal website, it's Yvonne Mbanefo.com, YVONNEMBANEFO.com.
Okay, great. That is so wonderful. Just for these few brief minutes, I have really enjoyed myself having you as a guest to be able to,
Thank you for having me. Thank you very much, Dan.
Yeah, we thank you so much for being our guest on the day and being able to be able to share those nuggets with us and with the audience. So, audience, stay tuned. We have Amy Purdy that's coming up on our live streaming on Women Who Rock with Success Media, and we thank everyone for tuning in with us and follow us over to the next show in just a few minutes. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful day, Yvonne.
Thank you. You too. Thank you.